There is also another resource that an Inquisitor can draw upon: other Inquisitors. On occasion, an Inquisitor may well encounter another of his organization, or specifically request the aid of a comrade. These are temporary, short-lived affairs on the whole. However, repeated cooperation between them can become established, and over time a growing group of Inquisitors will communicate regularly and assist each other. This is likely if the Inquisition share some common goals, and these cells, as they are known, tend to be factional in nature, and therefore can be used not only to further the cause of the Inquisition as a whole, but also to fulfill the agenda of the Inquisitors involved. Some cells may only last a few standard years, as the duties of the Inquisitors take them apart to different worlds. They may never meet again, though sometimes a cell will continue to communicate sporadically over many years and large distances. In time, a cell may contain a dozen or more, occasionally working together and passing on information to one another. A cell will often be formed to confront a particular problem, a demonic manifestation, for example. When this sort of threat reoccurs, an Inquisitor may call upon his or her old cell to confront the new menace. In this way, a cell may lie dormant for standard years or even solar decades before the call is sent out and the Inquisitors gather once again. Given the secretive nature of the Inquisition, the way a cell operates is very much built upon keeping the members secure and to protect them from outside recognition. Many do not work openly, and simply identifying another Inquisitor can prove difficult. At some point, as suspicions are aroused, an Inquisitor will have to make the choice whether to declare himself, risking discovery by a potential foe, but also gaining a possible ally. If two covertly operating Inquisitors encounter each other, the manner of their meeting will determine their reaction. To ameliorate this state of affairs, all of them carry with them an inquisitorial seal. This may be a pendant, signet ring, actual seal, or some other accoutrement, and is marked with a variation of the symbol of the Inquisition. This seal is proof positive that the Inquisitor carries with him the full authority of the Emperor. Should anyone doubt the veracity of a seal, they will normally contain other, digitally encoded information that will prove the identity of the bearer, utilizing technologies seldom seen outside the forge worlds of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Although traitors and other nefarious individuals have claimed inquisitorial status to further their own ends, such is the fervor with which the Inquisition hunts down these rogues and the well-communicated manner of their agonizing deaths that it is a brave man or woman who dares such a thing. The absolute trust and authority with which the Inquisition must operate cannot be threatened, and Inquisitors will go to any lengths to expose a fraud and bring them to justice. In addition to their inquisitorial seal, an Inquisitor's clothing and personal effects may well contain all manner of subtle information about their philosophy, allegiances, and contacts. There is no set cipher to this iconography, for it has developed over 10,000 Terran years and contains many levels of hidden meanings, and indeed, some symbols will mean various things to different Inquisitors in different parts of the galaxy. This symbolism is not always a conscious effort on the part of the Inquisitor. By its secretive nature, much information passes between them either in written form or by word of mouth. In time, certain artifacts have come to symbolize a variety of meanings, some of which are relevant only to particular factions or ordos, others that are more widespread. The Thorians, for instance, make great use of the skull symbol as a representation of the Emperor in death. Skull buttons, cufflinks, tattoos, earrings, or other decoration may be worn as a sign of reverence, but is also recognizable in certain situations by other Thorians. However, it cannot be said that the skull is the emblem of the Thorians alone, for no such thing exists, and the skull is a popular symbol throughout the Imperium, imparting a variety of meanings depending on how and where it is rendered. In addition to the skull, the Thorians will often have other symbols about their person, such as a scroll clasped in a hand, supposedly the hand of Prometheus himself as he left the First Conclave, and also a broken lock, the solving of the riddle of the divine vessel. Inquisitors are, of course, exceptionally observant and will instantly pick up these and many other details upon meeting another individual. They will already know a little of the other person and their purpose before a word is spoken. Cells will often take this one step further. Agents for one Inquisitor in a cell may not know who else their master is working with, and an Inquisitor will not necessarily know who are the agents of his allies and who are either bystanders or enemies. To overcome this, a cell will often agree on a symbol or set of symbols with which to identify themselves and those operating for them. This can be as subtle as a particular type of stitching used on the hem of robes and coats, or more open, such as the wearing of a particular style of ring or brooch. By these means, they can identify and cooperate with their allies without fear of betraying themselves or their comrades. Some cells, particularly those that are operating exceptionally covertly and perhaps investigating local imperial officials of power and means, will also adopt a peculiar form of language. All of them will learn various codes and battle tongues from their master or mistress while they are an interrogator, and there are several spoken by Inquisitors all across the Imperium in one form or another. However, it will also be one of the qualified Inquisitor's first tasks to modify or create a secret tongue of his own. They are pragmatic for much of the time, and everyone is taught early on that their loyalty to the Master may one day have to be forgotten, and they will investigate their former mentor. In such situations, security cannot be compromised, and so there is the need for every Inquisitor and his or her warrior band to be able to communicate in a unique manner. The cell will, either through meeting one another or by use of intermediaries, agree upon a form for their code speak, corresponding to one of the basic language foundations used throughout the Inquisition. Some are utterly impenetrable to others reading or listening, and appear to be nonsense. Others are hidden within everyday phrases and conversation, with the carefully placed code words to convey the true nature of the message. As with their visual appearance, an Inquisitor's use of different types of cipher can say a lot about what they believe and whom they learn their skills from. As I mentioned earlier, a cell does not consist solely of Inquisitors, but also their agents. This varies from their immediate comrades that accompany them to distant contacts that provide other forms of support or information. When cooperating as part of a cell, an Inquisitor may pass on certain details of their informants and allies to the other members, though it is an unspoken tradition that where possible, an Inquisitor only deals with his own aides and confidants unless absolutely necessary. Using the visual keys and code language, the Inquisitors will be able to make their loyalties known to this intermeshed network of accomplices and agents and thus utilize their services if required. For their part, the agents will have been told of others working with their master or mistress, but information is power, and so any one individual is unlikely to know who ultimately they are working for, and will instead only be aware of the cell through a layer of intermediaries and scanned contact. They may not even know it is the Inquisition that is pulling the strings. It is not unusual for an Inquisitor, even when contacting his agents directly, to masquerade as a lesser functionary to protect his identity. All of this allows the cell to deal with the threat for which it was created. The cell will last as long as the particular problem or menace remains, and may last for several standard years. They are transitory creations, and may contain Inquisitors who are only allied through common acquaintance, and may never meet all of the other members. However, should they do so, they will know immediately they are in the presence of their co-conspirators. Now, given the diverse nature of the threats combated by the Inquisition, which pay no heed to time or space, a cell may not convene with each other for several years while its members pursue their own missions in accordance with the cell's goals. On the other hand, the cell may see concentrated, almost frantic activity for several days or months, during which the situation is resolved. Cells formed over longer periods may well meet again when another threat arises, as an Inquisitor seeks out tried and tested companions to aid him. Others will disband, never to cross paths again, although the knowledge learned and the shared experience will be kept by them for the rest of their lives. It is through the organic ebb and flow of the cells that ideas, theories, and acquaintances can eventually pass from one end of the galaxy to the other over the span of a standard year, decade, generation, or even centuries. Philosophies that may well have fallen out of favor near Terra may only just be catching attention in the southern rim of the eastern fringe. The Inquisitors know full well the impossibility of maintaining any kind of structure across the great gulfs of space covered by the Imperium, unlike other Imperial organizations, and for the last 10,000 years, it is an approach that has, on the whole, been very successful. In all, it is important to remember that cells exist for a specific purpose, to combat a common threat identified by the Inquisitors within that cell. Inquisitors are free to leave the cells or to invite new members to join the effort, and they are organized on an ad hoc basis.